This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. Episode number 130, baby. Oh yeah. In today's episode I speak to Dan the Man about fashion. Well, kind of. As you can imagine, we end up speaking about quite a lot of other irrelevant stuff like elephants having sex and lots of other very relevant stuff, okay? Anyway, as I said last week, membership to the Rock and Roll English family will be open this week, baby, this week. So make sure you keep checking the website, the podcast, the Facebook page, the Instagram page for updates on that. And speaking of membership, I have a kind of announcement to make. The quiz, the famous quiz, will unfortunately not be on the website anymore because I know that only a very, very small number of people use it and most of them are members anyway. So it's going to be part of the members area now where there will be a weekly quiz in the secret Facebook group that will include vocabulary and grammar. I apologise to anyone that uses it and is not part of the Rock and Roll English family. Obviously you can be, that's no problem. But unfortunately I don't really have much free time. And as people pay for the content in the members area, I obviously want to make sure I'm giving them the best content possible. I hope that sounds fair and that you don't hate me. But there will always still be a Monday podcast and there will always still be the vocabulary on the website. So you can listen to it here, listen to it again at the end, go to the website to find it, see it written down, use it, memorize it, and keep on rocking, baby. Anyway, that's enough of that. Here is the conversation with me and Dan the Man. Happy listening. Dan the Man, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Always fantastic, Dan. Always fantastic. Even though you're back on the show. Last week we had Boom Boom Cannon. So funny. Cracking all the jokes. Now you, Dan.
I apologise.
It's good to know you're apologising already. But Boom Boom Cannon had a fantastic performance last week. Do you think you can live up to it?
Well, I haven't listened to it, so I can't comment.
Okay, some rock and roll vocabulary there as well, to live up to something, to meet some expectations. Anyway, Dan, how do we usually start the show?
With a review.
Oh, yeah, baby. Do you think we have a review?
Yes.
Yes, we do. It's from Ole Pinta. As always, apologies for the pronunciation. And he says, it's funny, helpful, unique, and easy to understand, and you learn from it. Great sense of humour spelt in the American way, but that's fine, okay? In England, we like to put a U in there as well, another U. And then it says, I like you both, keep it up. When he says, I like you both, I'm not sure who he's referring to there, Dan. Maybe you, I'm not sure, because, you know, there are much more important people than you on the podcast now.
Well, what makes you think he's talking about you?
Good point. Good point, Dan. Did not think about that. Touché. Some rock and roll vocabulary there. Although I think that's an international word. Sounds French, Dan. Is it French?
Yes, it's from fencing, I think, sword fighting.
Oh, God, here we go, Dan. Okay, we don't want your life story, okay? But we use it when someone sort of matches your comment, I suppose. Anyway, Dan, today is a special day. Today is Wear a White T-shirt Day. Okay, I thought this is a special day for you, mainly because you always wear a white t-shirt. Just like the standard, most boring thing that you can wear is what Dan the Man wears.
Well, it never goes out of fashion, so...
Good point. Okay. Evergreen. So evergreen is something that basically lasts forever. That is a good point, Dan. You've made 2 intelligent points already in this podcast. This must be a record for you.
Yeah, thank you. Trying to save my job at the moment.
Well... Good point, Dan. Okay, yeah, do your best. So yeah, Dan is the typical person, white t-shirt, blue jeans, white underpants as well.
Hey, whoa. Why are you commenting on my underpants?
Well, I was thinking we saw them recently in a live video in the Rock and Roll English family group, didn't we?
Yeah, hang on, just to clarify, I wasn't walking around in my pants. Martin asked to see what colour they were, so I showed him, just the top.
Sure. Well, it was really like a sex live video, okay? That's why you need to be part of the Rock and Roll English family, to see Dan with no clothes on. Anyway, so it sort of made me think a little bit about fashion psychology, okay? So it is something interesting and intelligent today, Dan. And I found a quiz on the internet that says what type of clothes you should wear, because it's got some personality questions and then it tells you what type of clothes you should wear. So hopefully maybe we can change your fashion sense, Dan, even though it's been the same for the 30 years that I've known you.
Yeah, thanks. Cheers. Are we doing the test today?
We're doing the test right now, Dan. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
So the first question, I don't know how these are all related, but we'll see at the end what your result is. The first question is, do you dress up in a costume for Halloween? So remember, when you dress up, it's when you wear something different. Maybe you dress up as a vampire or something like that.
No, I did it once and I looked like a tit, so I never did it again.
So when he says, oh, I look like a tit, it's a way to say idiot, but I think we know what tit means. I was thinking, though, Dan, I've never seen you dressed up. I can just imagine you turning up to a Halloween party, so turning up there, arriving in style, let's say, maybe with a red T-shirt on instead of your white T-shirt, and you say, well, no, look, I am dressing up. It's a red T-shirt.
No, the only time I ever did wear anything to Halloween, I turned up. I didn't want to wear it. I was forced to wear it. I looked like a tit, and half the people there weren't dressed up, so I felt even more uncomfortable.
Oh, that's the thing. When you go to a fancy dress party, which is the name of these parties, you have to be sure everyone is doing it. If you turn up, I don't know, looking like a chicken, and everyone's just wearing normal clothes. Oh, God. So the next question is, what is the first thing you want to do when you see a rainbow? Because we know you like rainbows and unicorns, Dan, because you're a freelance human being with your free spirit. So what's the first thing you do when you see one?
Well, normally, nothing. But if I had to, I'd take a photo of it, just so I could never look at it again.
Oh, God, what a fantastic response, Dan. I tell you, Boom Boom Cannon would have said something much more funny there, okay? Notice there that connected speech would have said something more funny.
What would he have done?
I don't know. I'm not intelligent enough to think of funny things. The first thing I thought about, though, when I saw the word rainbow, what do you think it was, Dan?
I don't know. You tell me.
You. I just thought of you just sitting there looking at it, writing in your journal about, I don't know, maybe about Napoleon again. Something about Napoleon.
Well, every time I see a rainbow, yeah?
Yeah, quite similar, those two, aren't they? Rainbows and Napoleon.
Yeah. Am I the only one doing this test?
Well, I'm doing it as well, I suppose. I just told you my answer.
Did you?
Yes, I told you I would think of you. I'd maybe send you a message and say, hi, Dan, I've just seen a rainbow.
Oh, no, but I thought, are you completing this test so we can see what your fashion should be?
Oh, I've already completed it, okay? But
okay.
I'll give you my answer at the end, and then I'll just make up an answer for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So the next one is, you're in a shop with your friend, and your friend wants to buy a horrible shirt. What do you do? Do you tell your friend, look, no, don't. This shirt is fucking awful. Or do you just say, no, go and buy it?
Well, if they asked my opinion on it, I would tell them. Otherwise, I'll just let them buy it. You know, people can make their own decisions.
Oh, thanks, Dan. I feel so free.
I've let you buy many shirts, for example, that were awful.
All of the shirts I have are extremely fashionable, Dan. Especially the ones with the flowers on. My favourite one, which I bought about 12 years ago, I was at work the other day and I leant down to get something. Leant, the past of lean there. And I just heard... I thought, what was that? And I didn't even notice because I was wearing a jumper and then I had this fucking massive rip in the back of my shirt. It was absolutely devastating.
It's all those gym workouts, isn't it?
Exactly, Dan. Just so muscly now that I'm like the Incredible Hulk, I suppose, that I'm just bursting out of my shirt. Or because I had that shirt for like 12 years, washed it about 5 million times. I think even someone blowing hard on that shirt, it would have ripped.
I had a shirt years ago which I thought was a crinkled shirt, and I used to go out thinking it was a crinkled shirt for about 5 years, and then I found out it just needed a good iron.
So a crinkled shirt is one, if you sort of squash it together with your hands, it's got those crinkles in. And they were fashionable probably in the 1980s, but Dan the Man had one, apparently, and was wearing it. So that's great. I'd imagine it was white. Was it white, Dan?
No, it was blue. That's why I changed to white.
Exactly, yeah. After that terrible experience with the crinkly shirt, yeah. Okay, so if you're going to wear a T-shirt, Dan, what would be the logo you would most like to wear it with?
I don't even know what that means. What brand of shirt I would like to wear?
Yeah, so it's got a logo. Which logo would you like on it?
Hugo Boss.
Oh, wrong answer, Dan. The answer is Rock and Roll English. How dare you say Hugo Boss?
Well, I've actually still got that Rock and Roll English T-shirt, and it's been sort of looking at me for the past 10 months, just winding me up. I almost threw it away, but I've still got it.
So some rock and roll vocabulary there, winding me up, like driving me crazy, making me angry. Although I noticed, Dan, in all of these 10 months, your profile picture on Facebook, you still had that Rock and Roll English T-shirt, and I knew there's still love there. There's still love.
Am I wearing that in that? I didn't realise.
Oh, don't pretend you don't know, Dan. Here we go. Oh, I didn't know. Fuck off.
It's a good photo.
It's a great photo, yeah. Mainly because you've got a Rock and Roll English T-shirt on, Dan. Okay, and you're like one of like 3 or 4 people in the world that actually own one. Although it's quite easy to do. You just get a logo, and then you go to the shop and you print it on a white T-shirt. So it's not that difficult to create.
For a second there, I thought you were going to start pitching the T-shirts to sell. But if you want to buy one.
Yeah, if you want to buy one, they're €500. Okay, I actually thought about that, but it was difficult sorting out an online shop, and anything that involves using a computer is too difficult for me.
And who really would want one?
Well, I don't know, Dan. 1 or 2 people might. So the next question is: do you like playing games on your smartphone?
Yeah, chess and brain training games.
This is why this question is in here, because I know Dan likes these brain training games. So he's obviously training his brain. Training your brain to do what exactly, Dan?
Raise my IQ.
Well, you need to. You need to get to the IQ level of Boom Boom, that's for sure.
Well, we'll see.
How are these things going, though? Has your IQ been raised?
Well, I haven't taken the second test yet, but apparently if I follow this these workouts that I'm doing, it should raise by 20 points.
And if it doesn't, what do you do?
Well, apparently you can get your money back, so all the pressure's on them, really.
Good, I like it. Okay, so the next one is: what kind of dance do you prefer? Are you a salsa man, Dan? Tango?
None, really. Someone tried to teach me, or Mrs. Dan the Man has tried to teach me cumbia before.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, but I was thinking my favourite dance is the having a drink at the bar, watching other people have a dance. When I went to see Dan in Toulouse, actually, we went somewhere to meet Mrs. Dan the Man, and it was like some kind of Brazilian underground party.
It was Mexican.
Oh, Mexican. But yeah, as you can imagine, me and Dan the Man turning up to this party, everyone's doing all these crazy dances, and then me and Dan the Man just said to each other, should we go and get a drink at the bar? Yeah.
Do you remember? Because there was a lot of hysteria in this sort of underground bar, and then someone had the severed head of the president and was like screaming. And we realised we were part of some sort of political rally, so we left.
Yeah, it's all a bit of a blur. So when it's a blur, it's something you can't really remember. I just remember feeling extremely uncomfortable for the whole 10 minutes that we were in there. As well, it was about fucking 500 degrees. It's always that way. You go downstairs into a nightclub and you just feel the sweat and the smell of everyone, and you think, what am I doing here? I'm over 30. I can't be doing anything in these places anymore.
Exactly. Which is why I don't dance.
Yeah, exactly. And why we made a quick escape from that place. Okay, so the next one's interesting, Dan. If you could be any animal for a week, which one would it be?
An eagle,
An eagle, why?
because I'd like to fly.
Are eagles the only animals that fly?
Yeah, but they're quite majestic as well, aren't they? So, if you're gonna be any animal, well, I'm not gonna pick like a butterfly, am I? Pick a good flying animal.
I thought you might pick a unicorn, Dan.
You do know unicorns don't exist, don't you?
I am aware of that, but I wasn't sure if you knew the answer. I, on the other hand, would be a lion, okay? And I'd tell you the first thing I would do, I would go and find some dogs and chase them, okay? Just so the dogs know how horrible it is to be chased, because the amount of times they chase me, it's something that's bothered me all of my life, so I want to get some revenge and chase a dog.
Well, you've made a fool out of yourself there, because there is a dog called the Ridgeback which hunts lions, so you're not going to escape that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is the thing. I just can't escape dogs. Whatever I do, even if I become a lion, I can't get rid of the dogs. I don't know. What chases all dogs? I was thinking of an elephant, but I could just... But then I would have to, I wouldn't be able to run very fast, would I? Well, I think, actually, they can move, I think, can't they?
Yeah, they can move. I would have if I was you, I would have chosen a bear. I mean, you could never be a bear, but,
I could definitely be a bear. I've been watching lots of Planet Earth recently, actually. So Planet Earth is a famous sort of documentary made by a very famous English person about the nature and wildlife and stuff like this. I was watching it the other day with Mrs. Rock and Roll English, and her mum and dad were there. And then there was just a scene of two elephants shagging. And it was very, very uncomfortable, let me tell you. It was kind of like being in that Mexican bar again, just sort of sitting there watching two elephants have sex. I was like, oh, God.
If you had to choose, what would you choose again?
I think the Mexican bar. Yeah. It was because it was just so awkward.
Who wants to watch two elephants fucking in front of your girlfriend's parents?
I'd never seen elephants doing that before, and it really wasn't very nice. Okay, so quickly moving on. Which actor or actress, because I know you have a feminine side, Dan, do you most identify yourself with?
None. Anyone that doesn't court attention.
Okay, so anyone that courts attention. Some rock and roll vocabulary there. What does it mean, dictionary, Dan?
Well, in that context, it means like looking for.
Exactly, yeah. Mine would be Johnny Depp, I think, because I think we're very similar, both physically and in character.
Have you seen him lately? Have you seen the state of him?
I haven't spoken to him in a while, Dan. We've lost contact a bit in the last few months. I've been losing contact with all my friends. I lost contact with you for a bit. Johnny Depp as well. Haven't spoken to him in a while.
Well, Google Johnny Depp 2018, okay? And I think you might change your answer. Because he's been accused of hitting his girlfriend, and he drinks like $500,000 worth of wine a month or something, or he spends that on wine a month.
Similar to me in that I, drink $500,000 worth of wine every month. Haven't been hitting my girlfriend though recently, luckily.
Just watching elephants fuck with her.
Exactly, yeah. We leave the sort of physical violence and just watch the animals do that kind of stuff. So the results of the quiz, Dan, it said on mine that I should wear Western clothes. Okay.
What, like cowboy?
I think, yeah, like a cowboy, sort of Clint Eastwood kind of vibe. Okay, that's very much like me. I think my manly image, it has to be Western. What else could it be?
Well, yeah, I don't know. You look like Woody from Toy Story.
You know what? That's the biggest compliment you've ever paid me. You can be Buzz Lightyear if you want.
I'll take that.
Some rock and roll vocabulary as well there. I'll take that. I'll accept that. Well, you do that, Dan, okay? And you can also maybe take me to infinity and beyond.
God knows. What does that even mean? I'm taking you nowhere.
I was quite looking forward to going to infinity and beyond. When you just add that and beyond, it just sounds, I don't know.
Sexual.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, actually. Like, if I said to you, let's go to my house to have some fun and more, immediately you just think, well, what the fuck is going on?
I'm not going to your house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not coming. So, sorry, Buzz. You can keep that invitation, okay? You go there. Let me know how it is.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Oh, hang on. What's my dress sense?
I'm not 100% sure yet because I haven't actually put in any of the results. I put my results in, but I'm just going to make yours up, Dan.
So my future dress sense is going to be decided on your whim?
Well, were you really going to listen to a fucking ridiculous website and think, okay, that website told me that I need to start wearing dresses, so then I'll start doing that?
Well, it just seems like this whole episode's been a waste of time. I was looking for some advice.
Every episode is a waste of time, Dan. Although I am putting this quiz on the website this time, so if anyone wants to do this quiz, feel free to waste more time.
Yeah. The people who listen to this show, I presume, have got busy lives.
No one's got a busy life, Dan. Everyone's got at least 20 minutes to listen about elephants having sex and to...
Me and you going above and beyond.
Exactly. Me and you going to Above and Beyond and to a Mexican bar to do some salsa dancing. Is that Mexican? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, it's not.
It's not. Good time to say goodbye then, because I've already embarrassed myself here.
Yeah, I'll speak to you later.
See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so that was me and Dan the Man talking about fashion and stuff like that. So let's look at some of that rock and roll vocabulary. At the beginning, I asked Dan if he could live up to Boom Boom Cannon's performance. So when you have to live up to something, you have to meet expectations. Your teacher, for example, maybe your English teacher has certain expectations for you and you have to live up to those expectations. We had the word touché, which I believe we have stolen from French, but that's how languages work, don't they? Everyone steals something from someone. This is when I read the review and I said to Dan, do you think they're talking about you? And he said, well, what makes you think he's talking about you? And I said, well, good point, Dan. Touché. So when someone matches something that you say with another good response, you can say, touché. I was then talking about Dan's clothing choice of just a white t-shirt. And he said it never goes out of fashion. I said, exactly. It's evergreen. So evergreen is a way to say basically it lasts forever. It doesn't get old. It actually comes from the name of a plant. I didn't know this, obviously. I had to look on Google after the recording. But it's a plant that stays green all year, so it's evergreen. It's like these podcasts, Rock and Roll English. They are evergreen. If you listen to it in 1 year, 5 years, because we don't speak about the news and stuff like this, it's not old. Okay, talking about poos and elephants having sex is always relevant. Okay, it's relevant now. It will be relevant in the future. Did you notice there? I just said It'll be relevant in the future. Rock and roll connected speech there, baby. We had the word turn up again. We've had this quite a few times. The thing is, I just want to highlight how we use it because it's not the same as arrive, and it doesn't mean that you arrive without having an appointment, let's say. It sometimes means that, but not always. It's when you arrive in style, let's say. You arrive in a strange way. For example, Dan arriving at the fancy dress party. I said I could imagine him turning up in a red t-shirt. Okay, this is the strange way, if that makes sense, that he's wearing a red t-shirt and not his standard white t-shirt. Dan was also telling us about his crinkled shirt. So when something is crinkled, it's when it's sort of scrunched a little bit. For example, I always put paper in my bag and then it stays in there for like 2 weeks, and then when I take it out, it's all crinkled and you can't really read what's on the paper because it's all crinkled. And Dan used to wear a shirt like that. Okay, that tells you all you need to know about his fashion sense. He was then talking about the Rock and Roll English t-shirt that he has and said in the time we weren't speaking, he was looking at it and it was winding him up. So if something winds you up, it makes you angry. For example, Dan often winds me up and I often wind him up. But luckily we don't really do that anymore. We have learnt our lesson, okay? Dan also used the term someone that courts attention. So when you court attention, it's when you want attention. You look for attention. And then a lovely term at the end, I said to Dan that he could be Buzz Lightyear and he said, I'll take that. I'll accept that, let's say, but a much more colourful way to say it. And we love colour in our lives, don't we, people? Anyway, all of this rock and roll vocabulary is on the website, rockandrollenglish.com. Go there, have a look. Keep your eyes and ears open about membership to the Rock and Roll English family on Facebook, Instagram, and the website. I will see you all again on Thursday, actually, for the Expert Secrets episode. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.